My brothers and sisters, what is going on? This is still Sermon in the House Wednesday morning with another video. As always, do me a favor, like, comment, subscribe, follow on Instagram, link in the description. Been a while since I made a Pens video, as barring the 2022-23 season where it was disappointing for us. We missed the playoffs for, believe it or not, the first time in 17 years. First time that Sidney Crosby basically has missed the playoffs. I mean, technically it's the second, but you get the point, though. It's been a long time since the Pens have missed the playoffs. And that warranted some moves to be made in this offseason, because if you look at it right now, if you ask me, are the Pens a Stanley Cup contender? That answer is no. And it's crazy to say that, considering you have two of the greatest players to basically have ever played the game in Sidney Crosby and Evgeny Malkin. And that warranted some moves to be made. Brian Berkey gone as the president of the Pens. And finally, Ron Hextall is gone. We never have to deal with him again, but he did leave behind a big mess that the Pens have to clean up. So in comes Kyle Dubas, who is now the president of operations for the Pens. And if you don't know who he is, he played a major role in developing the Toronto Maple Leafs into what they are right now. Take that with what you want, because the Maple Leafs, this is the first time that they had won a playoff series in almost 20 years. But then again, the Pens have a little bit of a playoff slump of their own. We have not won a playoff series since 2018. But take that with what you will. The Maple Leafs are always a playoff contender now. So, I'm just going to get the my complaint out of the way first, and that's that we extended Tristan Jarry. That does not sit well with me at all. I'm not a Jarry fan. Never was. He just doesn't have that stability to be on the ice and to be able to be a number one goalie. He just isn't a number one goalie to me. And I understand the business side of it, because it would have been expensive to get another one considering the cap situation. Well, to get a better one, I should say. Not another one, but to get a better one, considering that the cap space situation the Pens are in. But here's the thing. Mediocrity is not what we're looking for in Pittsburgh, especially when it comes to two established franchises like the Penguins and the Steelers. So I'm not for Tristan Jarry being here basically until 2028. I'm not on board with that. And it's also with Sully believing in him, and Sully, believing that he can go out there and he gives us the best chance at winning. But he lacks consistency. In today's league, you have to be a consistent goaltender. That's all there is to it. So I'm not on board with that. But now let's talk about what Dubas has done to win him over for me. So coming in, we knew that we needed to patch up the goalie situation, which I guess we did with Jarry. We also needed defensemen, and we also needed depth on the top six. And I'm not going to talk too much about the draft, because I like to wait and see what the players do on the ice before I can have a strong opinion of them. So I'm not going to talk about the draft. But you bring in a guy like Riley Smith from the Vegas Golden Knights. Yeah, that's right. The Stanley Cup champion Vegas Golden Knights. You bring in Riley Smith. And it cost us Jason Zucker, sure. And looking at that, I mean, sure, Zucker is coming off possibly the best season of his career, by far the best season of his career in Pittsburgh, but it has a strong case of being the best season of his career. But here's the thing, as of right now, Riley Smith is better than Jason Zucker, in my honest opinion. And, another big situation for the Pens, aside from the cap situation dilemma, is how many of these players do we have that are either on the wrong side of 30 or closer to retirement than they are being youthful? Way too many of them. Jason Zucker is just another one of those players that you could have added to the list if he would have stayed. Hockey's a young man's game, and it doesn't help that the Pens had the oldest team in the league going into last season. We got to get younger. And while Riley Smith is not super young, he is younger than Jason Zucker. His planning and his foresight is great. He's always, it just goes to show you that Dubas is being in touch with the top teams in the league, and he was contacting them and flying out to Vegas to talk to them, to land this guy over here. And it was quite a pickup. 56 points in 78 games, 14 points in the playoffs, and he was a big contributor as to why Vegas won the Stanley Cup. And the best thing about it, he can play with Evgeny Malkin. Now, like I said, I didn't want to lose Zucker. Sully didn't want to lose him. Sid didn't want to lose him. Malkin didn't want to lose him. Nobody in the fan base wanted to lose Zucker. But two things with that. Number one, the cap space. It's always the frickin' cap space. Because with this, we went from $20 million in cap to now $15 million in cap. So we're still clawing our way out of this. But the other thing, and this is the best thing about it, if we were to lose Jason Zucker, and if we were to lose that line depth, and we were to bring in Riley, then I would actually have no problem with losing Jason Zucker. And that's exactly what happened. So honestly, it's bittersweet for me. Riley Smith is a great player. I like how he plays. And if he's there to replace Zucker, then I'm all for it. Then you get in Graves for Dumoulin. Again, knockout move. And, Brian Dumoulin, he's been steadily getting worse since since being a part of that second Stanley Cup team that we had in 2017. But Graves is honestly better than Dumoulin. He's got more offense than Dumoulin does. He's bigger than Dumoulin is. And while he still may need some development on the defense, he's got enough of it to play. And he's not really lacking in anything than Brian Dumoulin is. So I thought that was a really good move right there to help out the defense. So you've got your defenseman right there in Graves. And then finally, the biggest question mark of them all, what about the depth up front? Bring in a guy like Lars Eller. I like this one a lot. I like how he plays. I think he's a very scrappy player. And while he may not be putting up big numbers as far as the, average hockey fan would like to say, he is very comfortable playing in that top six, because the biggest question mark of them all, for Mike Sullivan at least, what are the Pens going to do about the penalty killing? You're not just going to throw guys out there who are there to just swipe the puck away and to, drown out the clock. But I'm talking about guys who go out there and they play physical and they will try to cause turnovers and perhaps even, shorty goals with that penalty killing, because that penalty killing has taken some steps back. But you put guys like Graves and Riley that are more than capable of that penalty kill, it's just a great thing to see. So, in a nutshell, I think Kyle Dubas has hit the head on a lot of these moves so far, and I think he's starting to clean up the mess that Hextall left behind. but there's still some work to do. By no means is this done yet, but so far, I think Kyle Dubas is doing a really good job as president of operations for the Pens, interim general manager. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. This is Steel Sturman checking on out for the day. May God be with you all.